and he has that spirit and power about him. There's a scripture in the Bible, I think it's in the book of Acts, where and throughout the New Testament, where the people were inhabited by various kinds of spirits, and this is biblical. Of course, you're not a biblical believer, but for those of us who do believe, you can be inhabited by various kinds of spirits. Now, we just recently went through the process of watching our Governor Spitzer resign from his exalted office as governor because he had the spirit of a John. He loved prostitutes. Here's a man who could perhaps, have any woman he wants, girlfriends, and outside of the marriage situation, but he chose prostitutes because he loved prostitutes. And the same thing with Jimmy Swaggart, by the way. The spirit of a John is something they just enjoy, having sex with prostitutes. I once knew a man who was very handsome, very tall, dashing, and well-spoken, but he was arrested for rape and convicted for rape, and asked him, why did he do that? He said because he'd rather rape a woman than actually date her and then seduce her. Rape was more thrilling for him. Barack is a pimp. He is an absolute pimp. He's got that spirit. Now, if someone had said that Elliot Spitzer was a John, well, people all in New York have been up in arms. He's not a John. He's our exalted governor. He's a John is what he is.
Okay, but you can associate Jimmy Swaggart out here in Indio, California, not too many years ago, picking up a prostitute, and of course his mea culpa of I've sinned, and you can certainly very specifically at some earth level associate Elliot Spitzer with literal prostitutes.
Right.
And those are real-world events that we now know something about, and so there's some validity to what you're saying about the spirit of a John or whatever. But what real earth-level events or situations can you connect Barack Obama to that suggest that he has the spirit of, as you put it, a pimp?
First of all, he pimped the Reverend Dr. Jeremiah Wright. He used Wright to further his ability to integrate himself into the political machine of Chicago politics, to give him a standing within the black community because he did not relate, being raised in Indonesia and in Hawaii, did not understand the black genre. And so he pimped Wright. And got him to put him in the position that he wanted to get in, and perhaps would have kept him there had it not been the firestorm that was raised up between the two of them. And when Wright was no longer convenient for him, he kicked him under the bus just like every pimp does.
So you believe that his ability to use people
married
with his political ambitions make him how different from any other politician that you can think of?
And that's a dangerous ground I stand on when identifying that, because you say, well, then what's the difference between him and any other politician rolling down the road? We have traditionally don't hold politicians in high social, moral, and ethical regard. We realize they are a necessary, I don't want to say evil, but somewhere in between. They are necessary for us to have in order for us to function as a society. But they are not held in the highest ethical regard, and some of them are worse than others. Barack is, without a doubt, the most liberal senator that has ever walked the halls of our Congress, and he is also the most insidious when it comes to pimping people as well.
Are you coming at this from the position as a pastor in a predominantly African-American church in a black community of Harlem, from the point of view that the government has created sort of a plantation mentality amongst African Americans over the years, a dependent mentality? Is that where you're coming from as far as Obama's liberalism?
I think the government, to some degree, and especially the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, to some degree, has made an effort to change the mindset of the plantation ideology of black people and try to get them to go in a different direction. And one of the reasons why I'm so adverse to Obama is that he, more than any other black person to date, will do more harm to the future of black people than anyone has ever done. Even the devil himself could not be more effective, because black people in general, beyond the plantation mentality, are labeled with and saddled with and unable to get out of this mentality that everything that happens to them wrong has been perpetrated against them by white folk, which brings me back to Dr. Jeremiah Wright. if you listen to his preaching, he unwittingly says that white people are God because they can do everything, and you can do nothing. They can do whatever they want. Your life is never going to get better because white people will keep you down. You're always going to be in the ghetto because the white people can keep you down. You're never going to get a better job because the white people can keep you down. He's effectively saying that white people are gods. Now, he's doing it unwittingly, and black people are of that mindset. What they are now looking at Barack as an opportunity, as a black person, to somehow or another, he's going to fight white people for them, rather than saying, wait a minute, we really don't need a champion in a political office. We need to change our own way of doing things. We are as addicted to the idea of blaming everybody as Germans are addicted to perfection. It's a community mindset that must be destroyed, but Barack, he probably cements it more than anybody else could possibly do.
All right, well, let's pick up on this in another time. It's been interesting talking to you. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Bye-bye.
See you around. Pastor James David Manning of the Outlaw Worldwide Church. Give Pastor Manning the set of white wall tires and send him on his way. Not quite as audacious, more measured, certainly, in saying exactly the same things in a one-on-one conversation as he says at the pulpit.